Okay, this mic's on. Testing, testing. All right. Doesn't sound very loud.
Can I trade you, please? I left out of my skirt and find out.
No, I might be
Testing, testing.
Strategic. There you go. Do you like living downtown?
Oh my god, I love
Do
it.
you live in a law?
I have.
All right.
I have a
How's it going, everyone?
room.
Can you hear me okay? No, this microphone doesn't sound so great. Is that all right? Okay, cool. Well, thank you so much for coming out tonight. I'm really excited to have our panelists here. Thank you guys for coming out. Just real quick. Sorry, I got these things a little bit mixed up here. So my name is Quentin Ford. I'm the founder of KMW Agency, or No Agency, and we're working on building a smarter, more connected community, business community here in Silicon Beach. So what does that mean? Our whole mission is to connect people. Make sure that when you guys come to an event like this, that you're talking to each other, getting to know each other, knowing what each other does, and then also connecting with panelists and being able to network and make great connections. What we also do is we connect you with consultants that we've partnered with, essentially, so that you can go on our website and find some people that you want to connect with right away. You can book time with them and book meetings with them as well. So we connected with a lot of different professionals in the area. And if you guys are interested in learning more about that, or potentially being someone who teaches a workshop or works with us, please come talk to me after this event. I'd love to chat with you guys more. And as always, if you just come talk to me after the event, I'd love to try to meet all of you if I can. A little housekeeping here. So this is Control Collective. It's a co-working space, but basically it's a creative campus for innovators and entrepreneurs. And I've been working on this workspace for about a year now, and I have to say it's an amazing place. The partnerships, the collaborations, the people who are here are amazing, and really help you to grow your own business. And it's such an advantage to be here over many other places. So just want to give a shout out to Control Collective. If you guys are interested in potentially working here, you can talk to Paulina, who's in the back over here. She can talk to you about memberships and things like that. Also, I'm going to give a big shout out to Fisherman Labs. Fisherman Labs does marketing, VR, and app development. They're located up here. If anyone's up there, come say hi. I don't know, I think everyone went home. Usually they work pretty hard. So I'd like to thank them for kind of making this event possible. So with that being said, I know that was a lot. I'd like to start by having the panelists here introduce themselves. And I think we'll go ahead and start with you, Mike.
Okay. Oh, hello. Can you hear me?
Yes,
Sorry.
I can hear you.
Hi, everyone. Thanks so much for having me. So my name is Monty O'Brien. I'm the Assistant Director of Marketing for FIDM, which is the Fashion Institute of Design and Merchandising here in downtown LA. And I guess a little bit about myself. Originally from Phoenix, my undergrad degree is in print journalism. Moved to LA about 9 years ago to actually go to FIDM as a student as well, where I earned my AA degree in graphic design. And I actually never intended to work for FIDM, but it's been a really wonderful journey, kind of accidentally weaving my way to FIDM. I worked as a graphic designer for a while, freelance with apparel news and some public relations companies, and got hired as a part-time blogger for FIDM about 6 years ago. And from there, I ended up getting promoted full-time to social media marketing manager for FIDM back in 2013, overseeing all of the content creation, publishing, implementation, and measurement of FIDM's official social media platforms across Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, Pinterest, Vine when it was a thing, Snapchat, and so forth. And then this past year got promoted again to assistant director of marketing, but the social media team still reports to me, and it's been a really amazing journey. And FIDM actually offers a social media major as well, so I work really closely with the director of the major to help educate students for social media. I'm really passionate about the fashion industry and just empowering people to learn more about social media, so happy to be here.
Great, awesome. Ashley?
Hi, I am Ashley. I am the social media manager and e-commerce strategist for James Jeans. It's just a contemporary denim brand, which is also downtown. Apart from that, I also have my own fashion blog, which I started in college. I went down to San Diego to get a fashion merchandising degree and didn't really know what I wanted to do after college. So I kind of started that just to see where it would go, and it continued to grow. And realizing that I really had a passion for that, pursued a career in LA as a social media person. So just kind of figuring that out. It's always a changing market. I feel like you never really know what's going to happen next. So it's a fun journey, and I'm excited to talk about it tonight.
Great, and Spencer?
Hello, my name is Spencer Nemitz. I am a social media and content editor at Nasty Gal. If you follow their Snapchat, you have probably seen me pretty drunk. Not kidding. But I also do all of their social copy, so captions on Instagram, Twitter. We never did Vine.
It's okay. Rest in peace.
In addition to some website marketing copy. It's a job of many hats, and it's super fun. I did not know what Nasty Gal was when I first started there, which is a testament to never knowing where you're going to wind up in a month. And it is a very magical company and a very magical sort of place to be in the fashion industry. I'm originally from Vegas, which explains a lot. And I'm very happy to talk to you about social media.
Awesome. Let's give a round of applause for our panelists. Great. Okay, cool. So I want to start off with you, Monty. So at FIDM.
You can call it FIDM.
Or FIDM, right? So how do you guys use Instagram to connect with the world of fashion? And what are some of your goals there?
Yeah, I think that our favorite social media platforms right now are by far Instagram, probably first, followed by Snapchat. Our main goal, of course, for social media is to attract prospective FIDM students and to expose people to what the FIDM experience is all about. So as far as connecting, I mean, right now our goals are, we have our followers, I mean, we started it from zero. We have 23,400 some odd followers right now. We're always aiming to try and grow by like 5% every month, which is kind of a lofty goal, having that many, but I challenge my staff to do so. We're just trying to, the goal of our Instagram account, well, overall social media, our little mantra is inspire to inquire. So we're just trying to find the most interesting way possible to tell the FIDM story through collaborations, through allowing our students like firsthand access to Instagram, and then also connecting with influencers and our own students, many of which are influencers themselves, and encouraging them to share their FIDM experience across Instagram. So I think as far as like a hardline metric goal, we're always hoping that people will go from Instagram to the FIDM.edu website and learn more, and hopefully discover FIDM through Instagram and then inquire from there. So
yeah, awesome. Actually, I still have a little more to add on to that.
Okay.
So, you know, some of these students who are influencers themselves. So what are you guys doing to kind of help them achieve their goals with social media?
Yeah, so there's a couple things that we do with influencers. We actually, I started a program at FITM called the Social Ambassador Program, and through which we recruit students who are natural ambassadors for FITM in the way that like someone might be an ambassador for a brand. Students who are just like really proud to be FITM, like our proud grads, our proud students, who are just super stoked to represent FITM. It's, their alma mater. And we want to help them. We want to encourage them to become social ambassadors and tell the FITM story on their platforms, and also cross-promote their work. So if they have a goal to work in social media, for example, or if they have their own personal blog, then we do everything we can to support them in those efforts by cross-promoting their content across FITM's main channels. It's kind of a win-win because they're getting exposure to the broader FITM community, and we are supporting, they're getting exposure through FITM, and then we're getting exposed to their followers on their accounts.
Yeah, awesome. That's great. Ashley, so were you blogging before Instagram got popular? Really?
I was not. I started my Instagram kind of like we all started our first email account and just like did a nickname or something. And I remember thinking it was so silly because my brother was obsessed with it, and he's 5 years younger than me. So I was like, this is so dumb. Like, why do people want to see your pictures? And I thought it was silly. And then fast forward, like, I don't even know, maybe like 6 months. And I did start a blog. And it took a really long time for me to be comfortable enough putting my blog content on Instagram because all my friends followed it. And I thought it was kind of silly that I was blogging. So unfortunately, I honestly think I was blogging for like another 6 months before I first was like, hey guys, like check out this blog post. So it took a while for me to fuse the two together. And now I'm like, I can't even believe that for a second. I was like, what is this?
Right.
So
cool. So how has Instagram helped you grow your blog?
It honestly has become my #1 priority. Like my blog is huge for putting all the images up and the links that can be clicked through, like that's where I tell the story and that's where all of the information goes. But Instagram is the main driver for new followers, comments, clicks to the brand. It's really like the first impression that I want people to see and be impressed with. And then I want them to go to my blog and be like, oh, okay, here's, the story behind the picture she put up and where I can find it and things like that. So I would say it's been an interesting shift to see how my blog started as this thing. And now I'm like, okay, but Instagram is like my main priority.
Okay, cool. So, as far as like your growth cycle, can you give me an idea of like how that worked out? Was it super slow in the beginning, and then did you hit a point where it kind of just jumped up?
It was pretty slow in the beginning. Once I started to experiment with hashtags, I saw a huge spike just in engagement in general, because if you're using a hashtag that someone in another country searches for, that automatically opens you up to an entire community that you don't have any contact with. So when I started implementing the proper hashtags that were relevant to my content, and then when I started to engage with other people in my demographic, so just girls with like similar followings or people who had more followers than I did, like when I started to really collaborate with them and really partner up, that was when I saw a huge growth, because there's power in numbers. So when I started to, again, like break out of my shell of being embarrassed of this like blog thing, that was when I started to grow.
Awesome. And when you started seeing that growth, were companies starting to reach out to you to do promotions and things like that, or what did that look like for you?
That honestly, I was only blogging like a couple, I would say like maybe 2 or 3 months before I had my first email. And even then I was like shocked. Like I got an email, I remember it was swell.com. And I was like, oh my gosh, how did they find me? Like I had no idea. And it's honestly always been consistent. Like I think I've reached out maybe a couple times to, show interest in a brand, but it's pretty steady. When you're showing consistency, brands see that. And if they like your aesthetic, then they, reach out. So I forget what you asked exactly. But.
I was just saying how, when your following started increasing, did you start seeing a lot of opportunities?
I feel like, what's interesting now is that it's not so much your following anymore. It's what image like the imagery that you put up, if that resonates with a brand, they're gonna want to work with you. Like on my 9-to-5 job type of thing, I find girls and guys that even if they have like under 10,000 followers, if their images are beautiful and I know that all of their content will be valuable to my brand for James Jeans, then I'll work with them. So the following, yes, it helps a lot, but at the end of the day, if a brand likes you and what you represent, it doesn't really matter, I would say.
Okay, awesome. And Spencer, what's going on, man? I love your Instagram account, by the way. Your first one. Funny.
Thank you.
You're entertaining.
Thank you.
So can you tell me a little bit about how Nasty Gal uses Instagram and how they get involved in the fashion community?
Well, it helps that they sell clothes. And now it's kind of been a bit of a learning process, as I feel like it is with a lot of brands behind the scenes. Really strong imagery and a good visual. Just to set the record straight, I don't produce the visual content on our Instagram because I'm tacky. I just do social copy, but I work very closely with the other member of our social team who does. And it is so important to maybe not have that strong curated eye yourself, but to have a group of people around you who can help guide you in that direction. Wait, what was I talking about? Oh yeah, how we use Instagram. We went through a brief period of going super editorial and super glossy with our images. And we realized that what our girl really connects with is our images that feel really raw, really in the moment, and that they can kind of live vicariously through. So a picture of a model behind the scenes is great to showcase like our company culture and like what we're doing, but it's never going to be as powerful as a girl wearing one of our dresses on the beach, because it's much easier for our customer to imagine herself as that girl on the beach. And that's much more powerful. It makes her feel more one with the brand, and also sells clothes. Oh wait, this is streaming. And we recently have started doing a lot more UGC, where we will repost images that our customers post. And the reactions that we get to that have like blown me away. Like just the hype that comes out of that. It's really, it makes me feel warm and squishy about working with social media.
Aw.
That's awesome. So I know you're more of a Snapchatter,
Yes.
if that's even a term. So can you just tell us a little bit about what you're doing with Snapchat as well? They seem to be like they're coming together a little bit.
A little bit, yeah. I specialize in live social. So I run the Nasty Gal Snapchat account, kind of just like own metrics and figuring out what everything means. And Snapchat doesn't really give you a whole lot of that. So it's a lot of kind of like decoding and trial and error, and have recently dipped my toe more into Instagram stories. And it's a completely different, they share some similar core values in that you want to appear relatable, you want to connect with your viewer, but it's such a different beast in that you don't have to have that strong curated visual eye. You don't have to, a lot of the best practices that work for other social platforms don't always translate over, and that's okay, because it gives you so much more wiggle room to grow and be yourself. And from a brand perspective, kind of speak to all of your different customers, because none of your content really lives forever. And so a good example of that is we may cover, last night we covered the YG concert for 30 days in LA. That's going to speak to a very different Nasty Gal customer than the tour we're doing tomorrow of the best places in town to get hot chocolate. But everyone can still be kind of interested in it. It can bridge customers, I think. It's a lot of trial and error, I'll put it that way.
So I want to know if anybody in the crowd has any questions so far before I go into any other questions that I was going to ask. Does anybody want to bring anything up? Yeah, cool.
I'm really curious as to your creative process behind Nasty Out, because typically in social you don't see copy and visual split. It's usually one person that has that control.
Mm-hmm.
So, like for example, when you work with your brand, do you guys have a brand guideline of values that you guys evoke, or do you guys just track KPIs and have like a user persona that you kind of base the content off of, or is it just all feel?
We do have a brand book that illustrates a couple of our core values, where our team is very lucky is that everyone on our social team is very close. I consider my peers some of my best friends. And that closeness it makes it easier to identify amongst ourselves where our strengths are and where our opportunities are, and how to better harness those things and how to kind of play off of one another. So I can sit down with my coworker who really handles that visual side, and as she's shooting product or as she's sourcing imagery or sourcing content, as she's sourcing content, she already kind of has an idea of where I'm going to go with copy. I have an idea of where she's going to go with imagery. And because we kind of specialize in those fields and we work so well together, I think it makes our finished product that much stronger and allows us to really focus on making that one aspect of a post great versus trying to hit all of these different fields trying to hit all these different fields and then maybe falling short on one. Because it's a lot. Like in a good Instagram post, it's like, damn.
Awesome. So I wanted to ask all of you actually, what are some creative things that you have done to help build a loyal following who actually trusts you and the content that you put out? So whoever wants to answer that.
For me, my followers know that they can come to my Instagram and blog platform to find, I would say, like affordable fashion that's on trend for the time. So they know I've just like consistently posted things that they know they can afford, that they trust that what I'm posting is not, though I wish it was, like Chanel or, like things that they are just completely out of their budget. Whereas I follow so many bloggers that I'm inspired from, but I know that I don't even have to look up what they blogged about. There's no way that like I can go buy it right now. So that for me has been something that has really increased my followers and my credibility, because they know that 9 times out of 10, something I put up, I stand behind. And I also am like, everyone should get this. It's available now. It's under $100 or whatever. So that for me has been super helpful with that.
Great. And Monty, do you have any things that you've done that you've noticed that have really worked in terms of building your following or loyalty?
Yeah, for following and loyalty, I think, I think implementing a style guide when we first started on Instagram, I think it's a lot of experimentation to begin with. And I think pretty quickly we realized, obviously it seems obvious, but it's much harder in practice than it is in theory to create a very cohesive visual aesthetic, right? So we have several people who contribute to our Instagram account. So we implemented a style guide that's not that robust. It's probably like 6 pages and just kind of outlines whether or not we prefer saturated tones or not saturated tones, and just rules for cropping images and things of that nature. So I think just like bumping up the visual aesthetic and making it all very cohesive, and like, the grid, it's like you're always kind of looking at everything in like a 9 grid.
Yes.
I think I learned that from another social media manager from Guess. Yeah, so just kind of making it cohesive. And I just think as far as, I mean, it's so different developing content for college rather than a product. But we abide by a lot of kind of standard journalism practices, always crediting the images that we source. I mean, we love sharing user-generated content as well, but just making sure there's sources for all images and obviously spelling everything correctly and just outlining everything that's absolutely factually correct. And even if we make errors and people call us out on errors, then we won't delete their comments. We always comment back and tell them we appreciate their feedback and make the edits. So things like that, just to build credibility in a general sense.
Great. Just out of curiosity, how many people here are actually like building an Instagram account right now around fashion and, you know, trying to make a job out of that essentially? Show of hands. Okay, awesome.
Yeah.
So what are some questions that you guys might have? I like to, you know, kind of every once in a while ask the audience, you know, if they have any questions. So I think there was a question over here.
No, I was raising my hand.
Yeah.
I didn't have a question.
Oh, okay.
I think you had a question up front. Did you have a question?
Yeah.
Actually, it's for Mandy. You said the platform. Yeah, you said the platform was for students and for FITM to work together. What about third parties that kind of want to access kind of, I guess, up and coming, budding fashion stars or influencers? Is there some sort of platform or access that FITM provides for, you know, third parties to get in touch with these influencers?
Yeah, absolutely. We it all depends on the brand and what type of initiative you have in mind. But we have a really wonderful career center. So I love trying to connect brands to students because I mean a part of that is just allowing our students to enhance their own personal career goals. So if you're a brand who wants to work with some of our influencers, then you work with through our career center who can put you in touch. And I'm always happy to make recommendations too through our social ambassador program and just trying to connect students who I know are influencers with brands who are looking for influencers. And we also try to host events on campus and working with, you know, people like Quentin to host events to connect brands with influencers is part of what we do. So you can totally contact me if you want to talk about that later.
Great, we have another question over here.
Questions for Ashley. You said that you increase followers by posting things that your followers can afford. How do bloggers that have, I don't know, 5-10 million followers who post mostly high fashion that most of the followers can't afford? How do they increase followers?
I would just say that I've seen those girls a lot of the time acknowledge that maybe not everyone can afford it, so they give alternatives because a lot of people are doing a good job at, like, fast fashion retailers are doing a really good job right now of making sure that people can still dress on trend or whatever they see, like on Pinterest or on the runways, like everywhere you can find something pretty similar. So I've seen a lot of girls say, like, this is everything I'm wearing and this is where you can find the look for less. Like, a lot of people will do like a specific posting where it's like save or splurge. So they'll do 5 bags that are designer and they're splurge items, and then they'll say, or you can get something that looks exactly the same for hundreds of dollars less. So that's a way just to build, like, you know, obviously they're not gonna not do high fashion because there is a demographic that can afford it. Like, that's their demographic, so they're gonna stick with it. So if they're interested in a different demographic, they're gonna tend to both and just give them the option to recreate their look for less. Again, that's like just a tactic, I would say. They probably have a lot of other things that they do as well. Like, I know that there's some people who will do like very exclusive newsletters where you can only get that like blog post if you sign up for their newsletter. So that is like a huge growth mechanism for, you know, an email list or things like that. So just doing extra things that are different, because it's such a saturated industry right now, that just trying to be ahead of the curve and different from someone else and just offer value that someone else might not be. I would say that's probably the underlying common denominator, is that people follow someone who brings them value. So, you know, I could post a picture and someone could post the same one, and if their caption has more value and it's not just like, this is a cute street, you know, it's like, this is a street where like this these authors live and like, give history or something like that, where it's like you transform your content by adding value in every way that you can. So if that's, giving an alternative look or giving more information, I would say that that's no matter what you're posting about, you're going to grow your following and your dedicated followers. That was a lot. So hopefully that answered your question.
So one of my friends has me on this thing that like auto follows people and likes and comments and all that stuff.
Yeah.
I'd love to get your opinion on those tools, if you think they're useful.
To be honest with you, I just heard of something like that. And I'm on like a Facebook page with have you guys heard of Reward Style? It's affiliate links networking. Okay. So I'm on that Facebook page and girls talk openly every day about things. And they've just recently started talking about that. And a lot of bloggers have said, yes, we use that. It like helps, whatever. But a lot of girls have also said that they're seeing like non-relevant comments and likes happening. So it's like, for instance, if I were doing it, like whatever it's doing with like 50 pictures that are like things that I would never like. So when your followers are looking at your activity, like they can see that you're liking 85 new pictures of like something completely non-related to what you really like. So I personally haven't explored it myself just because I've heard a couple negative things. But on the other hand, I have heard girls say that they're monitoring it very closely and making sure that it's like not getting out of hand. So I don't know, to be honest, I don't know. I haven't necessarily looked into it myself yet, but
Spencer, real quick, are there any tools that you use for Snapchat? Is there anything out there that exists for Snapchat?
I mean, one thing I will say about Snapchat as a platform, there aren't very many Snapchat analytics tools that there really isn't anything that partners with Snapchat. No. Snapchat is very contained within itself and it's not very welcoming to third-party apps, which I personally love. I think that there's a lot of content a lot of potentially great content that can get lost in the strive to achieve a certain metrics goal or to hit a certain number, to hit whatever. You can lose your content really easily in that. And while, from a business perspective, you can't be 100% about the art because you still have to make money, the money will come with authenticity. Mm-hmm. To go back to what you said about analytics tools, I know that there are some out there. I think we looked into one called Snaplytics that just kind of like broke everything down. With Snapchat, you can only be logged into one account at a time. Anytime a third-party app logs into it for you, because that's the only way that they can access your content, it logs you out. Anytime you're logged out of Snapchat, especially as your following starts to grow, it limits your ability to connect with your customers or your followers or whomever, your customers. And I don't think that that's worth knowing that this snap got 3 more screenshots than the other one, especially when everything disappears in 24 hours anyways.
And Monty, do you guys use any tools or have you had experience with influencers that are using tools to boost their growth?
We use Sprout Social, which is awesome. I love Sprout Social. We also use a newer product that's pretty awesome too called Cortex. I don't know if you guys have heard of that one. Cortex is amazing analytics. Just kind of really breaks everything down. So we do all of our pre-scheduling through Sprout Social, and then we use Cortex to do the analytics portion. And there's nothing for Snap. I mean, there's nothing. My girls basically try to like keep a list going of like which snaps were seen the most at this week, and like taking screenshots basically. But that's what we're using right now. Nothing for Snapchat. Yeah. And I agree with you on the content thing too. I just think it's like kind of like your basic 80-20 rule. I mean, it's like 80% entertain and then 20% selling. Yeah. I'm just like, that's not like a hard line number, but you have to entertain them first before if you want them to continue to follow you.
We have a question over here.
So I'm a freelance social media marketing person, and I work with a few accounts, and I know a lot of the stuff you guys are talking about. I'm curious about what you guys are doing for maybe Nasty Gal and James Jeans for conversion tracking, to be able to like determine, like, I mean, outside of a promo code or any kind of affiliate program, how you're able to determine, especially for you, like you have your own blog and you have like people like, you know, sending you product to feature or sending you imagery to feature. What are you using anything? Because right now for me, everything's manual.
Yeah. Honestly, everything is manual for me as well. James Jeans, they do promo codes and things like that to see. We've noticed a lot. We'll just kind of use Google Analytics to track what's being clicked on. So we noticed that Pinterest was like a huge driver of traffic, which was interesting because, I mean, it's so saturated, you don't really know what's going to happen to your pins. But that was huge because we were able to see that, you know, we posted a cute blogger image and linked our denim from our website and someone clicked on it. So we don't have, you know, the purchase information, but we do know that the traffic was being driven a lot through Pinterest. The same thing for myself. I just kind of use, I have WordPress. I use WordPress. So I use the dashboard analytics just to see like where it's coming from and what's happening, but it's all manual right now. And then there are some things like when I do work with brands, they'll give me a tracking pixel where I have to put that in my blog. So they don't know what they do with it, but they know what people are clicking on, what they're doing as far as like activity on my post. So I know there are other ways of doing that other than like a promo code. So that's the only other way.
Cool.
So you'd actually touched on a little bit about hashtags.
Mhm.
I know that there are like hashtag generators out there and those types of things, but specifically, what are your recommendations for really finding those hashtags that aren't so saturated that your picture's lost within less than a second?
Yeah.
To really build your brand.
Right. It's funny you say that because I feel like I just found like my 30 that in a way, like I know it's okay. First of all, backtrack. I know everyone hates hashtags because they're like, it looks so bad and whatever. I'm a firm believer in hashtags because no matter how you spin it, they help. They look bad if you do them incorrectly, but if you comment that, like my strategy is to, in my notes on my phone, like I do like dash, 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 whatever, like 5 dashes, and then write them out. And I'll do like 28 or something. So then I could do like 1 or 2 dedicated ones in the caption for like the brand or for reward style or like to know it. But it really just came down to me Googling like fashion hashtags, whatever. And there are a lot of blogs out there that have said like, these are my core hashtags that I use. And so then after doing that, I'd like write them down like old school. And then I would go to some girls that I follow that I like love their content. And they're always, after the Instagram algorithm changed, like they were always still on top and like all of that, and just kind of looked through their comments because they use them too. So if you just literally go in and see who's getting like 7,000 likes on their pictures, what hashtags are they using, and which ones do they use every time, and you will find that there are some that they use every time. And so I kind of just devised a little list of the ones that I have been using for a long time and then other ones that I had discovered just through that research. And as it progressed, I just kept a notepad or like a note of every different topic that I blog about. So whether it's like beauty or health or lifestyle, whatever, and have those catered hashtags just ready to go. And I just copy and paste them for whatever the picture is. So it just came down to research. I would be happy to share them with you after, but that's how that happened.
Awesome. So, Monty, I have a question for you. Dealing with influencers and some of the students that come through your school, do you see anything that kind of makes people more approachable for brands like to partner with? Is there kind of a safe way to go about building your brand so that you do get those types of partnerships? I know there's kind of like a lot of risque material on Instagram, especially on that popular feed. So I'm just kind of wondering, like, do you have any tips for people who are trying to build a sort of like a fashion presence online, how to keep it clean and approachable for brands?
Oh, so are you talking about from the influencer perspective or for brands trying to reach out?
So if I want to be an influencer, how do I maximize my partnerships with brands through my personal brand and imagery?
Right. Well, I think it goes back to a lot of what Ashley was saying with, you know, there's, I don't know how to say this. It's like there's a consumer for every style, you know, so if you are edgy, like you kind of have to like just be very authentic, like you're saying, tell your own personal brand story and think about what brands are aligned with your own aesthetic. Like there's someone for, I mean, I'm not talking about like porn, but I mean, some brands are into more risque, kind of the risque vibe. So if that's your thing, then I wouldn't say to shy away from that. I just think it's about like authenticity, cohesiveness, just staying true to your own personal brand values on your feed. I mean, for FITM, we're a more obviously conservative brand. We wouldn't work with like someone who's like a more risque. So we're looking for, you know, I think for on the brand side or the influencer side, you want to look for people who are aligned with your brand values, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Does that answer the question?
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Ashley or Spencer, do you guys have anything to say about that?
I mean,
Or add
yeah,
to that?
that's-
What do you look for in influencers? Well, and you know, back to what you were saying too about like what brands look for. I mean, we, you know, you don't have to have 100,000 followers. It's like that micro influencer. It's always about like that engagement percentage. I think maybe
Like
everybody here,
3%.
yeah, like 3%. Yeah, 3% is good. I'm always like strive for 5.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, you just like are kind of looking at the quality, the number of people who are commenting and engaging and liking an individual's posts. Yeah, when you're looking to work with influencers.
Great. Spencer, can you tell us a little bit about what you're currently up to, maybe with your personal brand, and then maybe what you're currently working on at NASCO?
Personal brand is also partying, but in like a professional way. Now, my personal brand, I started when I first moved to LA, I was into fashion blogging. Had a great presence on lookbook.new, if anyone remembers that. Throwback.
Forgot about that.
And then I realized that is hard.
It's very hard.
It was much more difficult than I thought it would be, and my style was a little bit more alt, so it made it a little bit more difficult to break into the blogging scene. And I realized that I enjoyed the writing aspect of maintaining a personal blog more than I really enjoyed the photography and like look building aspect. I mean, I enjoyed all of it, but the writing felt the least like work. And people told me I was funny, so I was like, all right, maybe I should start tweeting. And I made a Twitter account called Beyonce Fanfiction, where I wrote Beyonce fanfiction.
Amazing.
And it went kind of viral, which was cool. And then I realized I could only write so much Beyonce fanfiction. And now I've just kind of been building my Snapchat brand and I partner with, if anybody else here likes to go out, a club called Rhonda. It's a nightlife circuity club party thing that happens in LA. I do like hosting work for them and like various other clubs and basically anyone who will put me on their team. No, but in all seriousness, building up your Snapchat brand is it's very difficult to do if it's the only platform that you're using. You really need to be advertising it across all other platforms. All of your other platforms don't have to have super huge followings. And you don't even really need to be cross-promoting that much. You just need to give people enough of a taste of what you have to offer from live social. And as long as you're producing good content in your live social accounts, once you have them in, they're hooked. I think it's much more, at least from what I've seen between my personal account and Nasty Gal, the unfollow rate is much slower on live social because people don't really know what to expect from it yet. So they're just consuming everything. And that makes it a very beautiful time to be working in social media.
Cool. And Ashley, so what are you currently focusing on with your personal brand, and where do you see things going?
So for me, it's kind of funny because I started in San Diego and I was like totally, completely different look, like hot pink and like stripes and green. And I mean, I was like a Kate Spade billboard walking around everywhere. So I kind of built that up and then moved to LA and I was like, I only want black and white and nude and like all neutrals. So there was a huge transition where all my followers were like, why are you only wearing like dark colors? So it was interesting to have to completely basically like start new. And I even changed my blog name. Like it used to be Polka Dots and Sailor Stripes. And that's like, I hate even saying that. Like I hate it. Literally, that was my blog name. And so, because like I told you, I started it literally one night. I was like, I'm gonna start a blog. And I was like, I like polka dots and I like stripes. So I wrote a whole post on what not to do when starting a blog, and it's not doing it on a whim. Like you need to think about the name, because now it's Blonde Collective and it's just more me and it's just more broad. It's like, it's nothing, you don't know what to expect. It's a collection of everything. So so what am I working on? So working on just like maintaining that consistency and just like basically building from the ground up, because I went from, like I said, followers that loved bows and like hot pink heels to now followers that are like not like that at all. So it's been an interesting journey because I think that a lot of people were confused, but luckily I have like maintained my voice through that transition. So people are still following and continuing to follow, but that's my focus, is to just like integrate my new look into my old followers and kind of take them with me on this journey. And it's been great so far, actually. Ever since I changed my blog name, I just got like a flood of positive feedback. Everyone just being like, this is so much more you. So that's my main focus right now, is just really finding a look that I'm proud of and going with it.
Great. And Monty, can you just tell us what you're currently working on at FIM, what you're focusing on most?
Oh, sure. I think for the coming year, we're just really focused on relationships, building relationships and hosting, hosting people on campus more, and like getting closer to the social media community, everyone in Silicon Beach, why I'm here, and just like getting the word out about our social media major and so forth. Growing our presences as always, and personally working really closely too with social media professionals who work in the fashion industry. I just think, over time I've developed so many best practices and I just really enjoy sharing those. So working on some personal side projects.
Great. Cool. So I'm going to open it up to audience questions now for the rest of the time. And then we have a question over here.
This is one for Ashley. How do you feel about compensation and fees? Do you negotiate with brands directly? Do you have representation? How do you set your
like rates and stuff?
rates?
It's probably the most voodoo question in all of the blogging world, because everyone's like so hush hush about it, and it's really just because none of us have an answer for you. Honestly, it's kind of all over the place. I did work with a PR agency for 6 months, and I was like contracted with them, and I saw some good projects come up from that. It wasn't worth it, I don't think, because I didn't make any connections at all with any of the brands that I worked with during that time, because I wasn't the main contact. Usually it's them reaching out to me and me immediately letting my personality show through. And, I'm very easy to work with, and I love to collaborate with people. So like immediately it's an open conversation of like, what do you need and what do you want and things like that. Like, what can you do? So when I was represented by someone, they didn't even know who I was, so those relationships started and ended with the blog post, and the PR agency got to keep the relationship. So I'm not currently being represented at all, just because it didn't change my life in any way, like a positive way. And when it comes down to just like what they're willing to pay, I always set my rates. Like I do have a media kit with my rates and things like that of what I value my time at. A lot of brands are either not willing to do that because they don't see blogging as work yet, which I kind of understand in a way, because on the other hand, I work at James Jeans where I'm given no marketing budget. So my job is also to reach out to influencers and be like, I know you have a lot of work, but can you do this for free? So it's funny. It's like a double-edged sword. So I do work with brands for free a lot of the time because I want to build up, just as much as they want to build their following. I want to build my following as well. So I will, but I do always make it clear that like, I would love to pay a photographer for their work. Like there's so many factors involved, just the time that's dedicated and photographer that you're hoping to hire and things like that. So when it comes to compensation, it's such a vast, like you don't even know what's going to happen really. So sometimes I've gotten great responses and people are like, this is our budget. This is what we want to pay you. And I'm like, great, let's do it. And then other times they're like, we're not going to give you anything. Sometimes they won't even give you product, which is when I'm just like, I can't really help you then because I don't know, it's frustrating. But honestly, there's like no right answer to that because it depends on the brand and the time that the post will take. So it's not really an answer.
Yeah, it sounds like none of you were talking about really tracking conversions and end-to-end way of funnel and all that. I was wondering if you have like KPIs or is it really just mostly about brand building and relationship building? What exactly are you thinking?
We do have KPIs even, although we're not selling products, we're tracking conversion. So, I mean, we look at, we kind of have two buckets. We're like, on one hand, we want engagement. So we're, of course you're looking for reach numbers and follower growth, but the ones we're more interested in are website traffic. So visits, visitors, and student inquiries. So we use Bitly links, and we use an analytics tool through Adobe called Adobe Analytics. And I'm sure that you could do this through Google Analytics as well. But we have a different tracking code for each social media platform. So we have, I mean, it's very manual, unfortunately. So every post we do on Twitter, if we're driving traffic back to our own website, then we use a certain code for all of our tweets, a certain code for all of our Facebook posts, a certain code for Instagram and so forth. And then at the end of the month, we'll look and see how much website traffic we drove. And if anyone as a result of those posts filled out a student inquiry form. So that's how we track. And then we'll kind of compare it to like social media compared to like email marketing and go from there. I mean, for us, it's not like measurable. There's not like a conversion dollar amount unless we're looking at like our paid social, and that kind of falls into a different category of like our Google PPC budget and all of those things. So they measure that differently, but that's how we measure ours.
My role at NASDL is much more of an editor position where it is about brand building. That said, we have a completely separate team in digital marketing that use it. I mean, as far as Snapchat goes, there are no real analytics tools. It gets kind of tricky. I love that. But for all of our other social accounts, like we've got Curale, we do the Google Analytics, we do all that. But we have a completely separate team that really focuses on our strengths and opportunities there and communicates just enough of it to our branding team to kind of guide us in a direction without drowning us so much in numbers that it stifles the creative process. And I think that also kind of goes back to what he was asking about the way that we split up our social copy with our imagery. Having enough of a divide, I think, can be very helpful, rather than just like drowning in all of this information and like trying to balance all these different things to create one perfect post. When I think the focus should be a little bit more on just having kind of authentic content. I think that would really drive engagement more than anything, but I guess a strong analytics is good too, to like make money, probably.
You have to have a balance.
Yeah, 80-20.
Yeah, I was gonna say, so we kind of got caught up in that, or you can get really caught up in like the numbers. Like for example, our audience really loves quizzes. So there we have like a career quiz on our website. So we're like, oh, the career quiz. So for a while we were like tweeting like every single day, quiz, quiz, quiz. And we noticed after a period of time, I mean, there's only so many people to take the quiz, and your followers at a certain point, like we noticed a stagnation in our followers. And of course, you know, we had to change our strategy and not be so obsessed with the number side. But what a luxury. I wish I didn't have to worry about the numbers.
Actually, I actually have a question for you. Are there any good like affiliate programs or certain products that sell really well through Instagram? So if you're maybe like, let's say you have like 10,000 followers, you've got like some loyalty there. Any good suggestions there for products that you can sell through your Instagram?
Yeah, I mean, as far as affiliates go, I'm a part of Reward Style, which I would say is the #1 driver of affiliate networking. Their platform, like their app, is so congruent with Instagram that it's very seamless. So they made it really easy. They pay based off of commission. So Nordstrom, for example, awards so much commission. Like you sell a pair of shoes, you get $12 from it or something, whatever. It's like you can track it. Whatever you sell, you can see what you're making from it. So that's how Reward Style operates. Shop Style is a very similar structure, but they pay per click. So I wouldn't say that they're like an Instagram savvy thing. I don't know. I don't use them for Instagram, but for blogs, especially if you are using like high fashion links and you know someone's maybe not going to click on it or buy it, they'll click on it. So you'll get money for the click, but you might not get money for the purchase. So I would say that working with them very closely is a really good way to monetize your Instagram for brands and for influencers. So on the flip side, James Jeans partners with Reward Style to offer a competitive commission for the bloggers that I'm pitching. So instead of being like, I can't pay you, but if you blog about us, Instagram, this link or whatever, you'll make money if you do have a loyal follower. So that's what I use for that.
So we have time for a couple more questions. Is anyone here real quick?
This is for Manny. What do your social media students get out of an education at FITM that maybe just a shrewd creative individual wouldn't get by themselves, other than maybe the built-in network?
Oh, sure. Let me do the pitch. No. Gosh, I don't know. I mean, they learn every aspect of social media, from content creation, analytics, business marketing. It's a full Associate of Arts degree. I mean, it's a pretty awesome program, but obviously I'm super biased. I mean, I went to FITM for graphic design. I think what is really unique about FITM in general is that it's so, it's all so closely connected to the industry. So you have industry professionals teaching you in the classroom. We have like unprecedented collaborations. We partnered with Nasty Gal, probably before your time, to come into the classroom and do classroom collaborations and field trips. So it's an awesome program. For social media, we also have a built-in internship. So part of the program is interning at a fashion, or not a fashion company, just any company doing social media hands-on. So it's pretty cool. I mean, it's a little bit of everything.
Great. Does anyone else have a question?
Two questions, and I'm sorry if you guys already talked about the first one because I was late, but why no Facebook talk? And then do things typically tend to be in line with what you kind of talked about when you posted it, like a post you really like, personally will tend to do well, and one that you kind of just like, whatever about will not get that much attention, and especially with the people taking the classes, you find that kind of huge planning usually gets a response from you.
So you're asking about which posts I thought would do well actually do well, or if there's any surprises there?
Like all three, because I have, I do an art account and fashion account, very new to fashion, like I kind of, just got nudged into it. I'm a science person and I see very different responses from them. And it's been confusing to me, the fashion responses that I get, whereas the art ones, like if I really like the art I did, then it's typically people do too.
Mm-hmm. Totally.
Is it like that for you? Or
yeah, so much of it is trial and error. I mean, it has been surprising. Some of the stuff that does really well for FITM, I mean, anything that's like an LA skyline anything that says our full name, Fashion Institute of Design and Merchandising, we try to do those. I mean, that seems like such an obvious thing, and I wouldn't know how that goes for other brands. Does really well. And for Facebook, and I'll pass this on because I feel like I'm hogging the microphone, but yeah, Facebook talk. I do think like being in a coastal city like LA, I mean, there's so much murmur in the social media world about how like everyone is leaving Facebook. I mean, like the youth is definitely on Snapchat. You know, they're not using Facebook in the same way that our generation used, or my generation. I'm like the oldest arc of the millennial generation. So they're not using it the same way, but that certainly doesn't mean we're not focused on Facebook. Facebook owns Instagram. So we are really, really invested in Facebook advertising on Instagram to target, you know, to run targeted ads to our prospective students on there. But Facebook is definitely, right now, I think everyone's into Instagram and Snapchat because it's like that organic traffic that Facebook used to have, that now you just your post goes so much further on Instagram than Facebook, and in the way that it used to be for Facebook.
Mm-hmm. Touching on the Facebook issue, I as soon as I took over the e-commerce role at James Jeans, I really started pushing Facebook ads over Instagram ads just for us specifically, just because of the feedback I was getting. But our Facebook ads initiatives doubled every single sale we ran for like the 6 months that we did it. So I would say Facebook is hugely important. For my personal blog, it's not a huge priority for me just because that's not where my, like you were saying, like your followers might not be there. But for a brand selling a product, it's huge because you go onto Facebook and you expect to see ads. When you go onto Instagram and you scroll over an ad, you're like, why is this here? Like, I don't want to look at that, or, you know, you don't want to like it or whatever. So I would say Facebook for selling a product is huge and so important. And then as far as like the posts falling flat when you thought they would do great, that is just trial and error. I have that happen over and over. Yeah, like, I mean, I'll post things and I'm like, this is so good. And it'll get 100 likes, you know, like 100 less than usual, or like it'll get half the amount. I mean, there's been times where I'm like, is this invisible to people? Like, what is going on? So, and then there's other times where I'll post something and I'm like, I'm kind of lukewarm about this, but I need to post it. And it blows things out of the water. So it's trial and error. That's not you. It's just, it could be even down to like the time you're posting, because the algorithm now, I was reading that it's like, as quickly as it gets liked is its shelf life basically. So if you're not getting a good amount of likes immediately, the performance is going to be a little bit different. If you get a lot of likes quickly, it'll live longer. So it's all science. It's all like just trying everything differently every day and seeing what happens, honestly.
So how do the problem I have with that is that every week they just keep doing until because you have more followers, you have more followers on Monday because you know it's Wednesday, and so I haven't been able to do anything with it.
I don't know. Can you answer that? I don't know.
You know what? That's actually all the time we have for the panel right now. But I do want to thank everybody for coming out, and obviously let's give a big round of applause to our panelists. So we can encourage everyone to stay and just network and talk to each other and get awesome information from each other as well. We're going to put on some music and just hang out. Anyone who got a VIP consultation ticket, if you can come up to the front and we'll get you guys situated. So again, thanks for coming out. One more round of applause for the panelists.
I know. Every time I keep forgetting the question too. You did. I did the same. It was like I would just space out halfway through. Hi.
Hi, Spencer. Spencer, nice
Ashley.
to meet you. Ashley.
Nice to meet you. Hi. What's your name?
Datar, D-A-T-A-R.
Cool.
And I'm just going to show this to you guys all at the same time.
Great.
And then if you guys want to follow me, you can. We're about to launch this technology, and it's going to be in the beginning of next year. So it's called Fads. You replace ads with what or who you follow by entering in your Instagram. And then you can see that this guy's following Golden State Warriors, or Nasty Gal or something like that. She's following Burton. Why? See what you follow instead of what follows you, or privacy. Yeah. Sorry. Did you get a consultation? I did not. Okay. Ashley, can I borrow you for a second?
Oh yeah. Sorry.
No problem. So the way that this works is I just set up a Yahoo page here. You enter in your Instagram handle, the consumer would. They would see everything they're following, they pick it, and that's what they would see. So here's a regular Yahoo page. Nissan, whatever, some ads, but I entered in Nasty Gal, so that's what I'm gonna see from now on. If I go here, I just go straight to the Instagram account. So we can provide analytics and tracking and all these things. It's totally free. All you have to do is share it out. Fit them. We could put like internal stuff. We could put like resources for students and things like that. And
So you push ads to people based off of like
no,
like
people pull in content. No more ads.
I don't understand.